Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Weather and Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. We're going to be getting started here in just a few moments. While we wait for everybody to come on in, we're going over the widespread, very large storm system that is happening here across the eastern half of the U.S., as you can see behind me here on the weather radar. Everything from snow to rain to severe weather to flooding. We got it all, and we're going to go over all of it today. So should you have any questions, feel free to drop those into the chat, and I'll be able to answer those for you. If you have a question, it's likely someone else has the exact same question. So be sure to drop that in, and I'll be able to get that answered for you. Alrighty. So let me double check to make sure all is well on my end. Perfect. All right, awesome. Looks good. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I'm Weather and Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. We're going through the very large storm system that is happening across the eastern U.S. today. If you're anywhere in this storm system, or if you just received this storm system, we're going over all of it. So we got a lot to really cover today. And those of you who just received the storm system yesterday, there was severe weather, blizzard conditions, more rainfall. So it's continuing today as it does ramp up across the eastern U.S. So you see behind me here on the weather radar, we've got plenty going on with this storm system. Let me pause it here just to get a quick look. So we've got everything from very heavy snow happening here across the mid-Mississippi Valley into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, to rainfall happening on its southern flank of this storm, where we do have warmer temperatures, coming all the way down here to severe weather here across the southeast and getting into the Florida Panhandle and even the mainland of Florida as well. So we've got a lot going on with this storm system. I dropped the link to download the Weather and Radar app. It's completely free. You can find it right there in the chat, and you'll be able to see everything that I'm going over today in our app. We got plenty of resources that you can tap into to get the latest information for what's going on right there, and it's completely for free, so you can see all that there. And the tools I'm going to be showing you today are the tools that you can use right on your app, so you have all that at your disposal in your toolkit to get through this storm, because that's going to be really the big deal throughout the next 24 hours. So we have a large low pressure system. We'll start from the top, and we'll move down to more details once we get further into this. We've got a large low pressure system that is churning here across the Midwest, and you can see here it is pulling down cold air out of the north, which is supporting that snowfall here across the Midwest. And it's pulling up, because it does move in a counterclockwise turn. It is pulling up plentiful moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. Warmer temperatures are supporting that heavy rainfall, but that's coming all the way up here into the lower Great Lakes, where we've got cold rain, but still it is above freezing due to that warmer air working its way up that high. So we've got plenty of action going on here. However, some of you that are in the higher elevations, let's zoom in here to the Appalachians and getting into the Northeast here, and even into the Mid-Atlantic Appalachians. We've got some snow, some mixed precipitation also happening, just because of the cooler temperatures in the mountains. So that happens. We have these systems in the winter. It's likely that the mountains are going to be seeing some colder temperatures that will support that ice accumulation even, as well as some snow. So that could be mixing in with the rainfall today. We do expect to see, as the storm system continues throughout the day, just in this area especially, we will see the temperatures warming. Now, you may have looked on your hourly weather forecast right on your Weather and Radar app and seen that the high temperature for today does not happen until later this evening. That does happen. The high temperature can even be reached at midnight, and then it cools down for the day. So a high temperature can happen at any time of the day. It's just, something that you're not maybe used to seeing all the time. So the high temperature is going to be after dark tonight, because that warm air is circulating up into the mid-Atlantic. So we're going to be seeing temperatures climb into the 50s here across the mid-Atlantic and get into the 40s here in the mountains. So expect that change throughout the day today. Let me look to see if we have any questions before I get into the nitty-gritty of this. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and cover the south with the severe weather, and we'll work our way up north. We have got a very potent line of severe storms here moving across the southeast and into Florida as well. And you can see the squall line. We have the lightning showing up here along this line of storms here, and the orange dots show lightning that's happening way more often within a storm system. It's usually a stronger storm. In addition to that, we have a tornado watch in this area as well. We have tornadoes that were active this morning and into the overnight hours last night. This is continuing because we have all that instability just sitting here across the southeast, primed and ready to go, where we could see some widespread tornado activity across the southeast, getting into the Carolinas and as far north as southern Virginia here. Could also see some severe weather as this warm air makes its way up. The warm and stable air really supports the severe weather, and that's what we're seeing right now. So I want to get into, additionally, what we're seeing here when it comes to the severe weather. Let me zoom in here. So you see all that lightning going on right now too, but we also, I want to show you the wind gusts that are coming from these storms and from the system in general. Any of you that are down here in the southeast, and I know some of you that are up in the Midwest and the Northeast as well, Mid-Atlantic, are seeing some gusty winds too. We have got some gusty winds happening here. Here's the wind radar. We've got 55-mile-an-hour gusts happening in Atlanta, 55 in Augusta, and even close to 60, 70 miles per hour gusts here across the higher elevations in North Carolina and eastern Tennessee, far northeastern Tennessee. But Charlotte, North Carolina, you're gusting to 60 miles per hour right now. Those of you who might have your holiday lights still up, you're probably seeing those fly on, wherever they're at, and seeing them waving around, and holiday decorations waving around. So if you are around and you're able to make sure those are nice and tight to make sure that they're not going to fly off, cause any damage, or even hurt somebody, do double check that, because these damaging winds are going to stick around throughout the rest of today. We've got wind advisories and high wind warnings stretched across much of the eastern U.S., and I'll get into what that map looks like because it's pretty significant here across the area. So we've also got that line of storms, and we can see this line of convergence. And what I mean by convergence is just two air masses coming together here with this frontal system that is moving across here. You can see where these winds, these little wind lines that are moving towards each other, that's that squall line that we're watching here. Now you might notice that when you get severe thunderstorms in your area, that you'll see southerly winds first, but that supports those that severe weather, because those southerly winds incorporate warmer temperatures as well as a lot of moisture out of the south. And then you've got usually southwest to westerly winds coming in behind it as well, so that will blow through, and eventually the wind direction will change. So that's what that means when you see that. All right, let me get into what the map looks like from the big picture version of this, the satellite version. All right, this is from the College of DuPage. We are looking at the satellite view of this storm. Now, this is more than 1,000 miles wide, stretching from Nebraska all the way to coastal U.S. on the East Coast here. So this is a large storm system impacting a lot of people. So we're really going to be covering this throughout the rest of today because this is just going to be it's going to be causing some issues. We've already seen school closures, not only just from yesterday's activity across the plains where they have blizzard conditions, but also today. Schools have closed even today for the afternoon. They're coming home. People are coming home early due to the flood threats, the wind threats here across the eastern U.S. So big storm to pay attention to. All right. So yes, you see this storm right here on the College of DuPage website here, where it shows the satellite image of this. So all that white that you're seeing, that's the cloud cover that you're seeing right here. So that is, you can see just how vast this storm system is. I'd zoom in a little bit more, but the back end here, we've actually got sunshine here across the plains right now, but it's snow. We've got plenty of snow that piled up yesterday, and unfortunately, a lot of people were actually stranded on the highways. So people are being checked out this morning to make sure they're safe. Their vehicles, they held up overnight across those highways that received those blizzard conditions. Some areas received 6 to 12 inches of snow, localized amounts up to 18 inches as well. And when you got that much snow plus blizzard conditions, gusty winds, the snow's piling up. It's covering the roadways, lowering visibility, things like that. So it's a dangerous situation when you got that. But this has moved east since yesterday. So those of you who went through that yesterday, hopefully all are safe and good to go today. Let us show you what the current warnings and watches map looks like across the U.S. You'll notice it's very busy. This is a huge storm system, and you can see where it starts and where it ends here across the eastern half of the US. And winter just slammed in for the new year. So we are getting a lot of wintry weather, big winter storm from this whole thing. So we see winter storm warnings stretching here in the pink all across the Midwest into the upper Great Lakes, winter weather advisories, and then all this brown that you're seeing here. I mentioned the winds. Those are the wind advisories and high wind warnings. You're also seeing that all the way up into the northeast where this wind event is really just going to be strong. In addition to that, this is where your tornado watch is. So those of you in south central North Carolina all the way down to northern Florida, you're looking at a tornado watch right now, even a tornado warning here in southern Georgia. So those of you who are within this area here, do take cover and have your alerts switched on so that you know exactly what's going on. We've got a few tornado warnings actually going across here. They're just north of Waycross as this storm system does move through. And in addition to that, from Vidalia all the way down to the Florida Panhandle, and right where that is curving just east of Perry, Florida, we're seeing that storm system and these this squall line move through. So this is bringing the gusty winds, possible tornadoes, and that's what these are right here is tornado warnings. Those of you who are in this area north of Waycross, in the counties north of Waycross, do take cover and keep an eye on the weather radar. For those of you who are also receiving this storm, but you're getting the rainy end of it, you have flood watches in your area. And that really includes those of you from southern Appalachians northward into the northeast. And we have as much as a moderate risk for heavy rainfall. That includes DC, Baltimore, Philly, just east of New York City, and getting into Massachusetts and Rhode Island here as well as the mountain areas here in western South Carolina and western North Carolina, those higher elevations. Those where we do have flood warnings currently sitting across this area where that southern moderate risk is. A moderate risk for excessive rainfall is a level 3 out of 4 on the severity scale for excessive rainfall and flooding rains. So we could see anywhere up to 6 inches in this area. And this is also due to, so those of you that are also in the Northeast are going to want to pay close attention to this detail. We had that winter storm that came through this last weekend, and those of you that are in the higher elevations, you had snow and you had ice. And if snow is still around, there's going to be melting happening because of that warm air that we talked about earlier, surging into this area, and especially throughout the afternoon and evening, melting that snow, adding to not only what the rainfalls, how much rainfall today, which we could see 2 to 4 inches across this area here, especially in this moderate risk, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. But in addition, we have the already higher streams and creeks and rivers from snow melt for the last couple of days, but this will cause even more snow melt in those higher elevations. So those of you that do live in areas where I know the roadways that really puddle and get some serious flooding even in the slightest amount of rainfall, you're really going to want to pay attention this afternoon and evening. It's been raining all day. I'm in Western Maryland, raining all day already, so areas that do quickly come with water, where there's poor drainage or low-lying areas, you can expect those to flood today, and some flash flooding happening in those areas, especially the highways. DC, many of you that are familiar with DC and the roadways down there, a lot of it does flood very easily, so pay close attention if you're down there and you're driving through today. Commutes are going to be messy. Just expect it to take longer than usual, but give yourself time. When you know that, you just give yourself some more time, maybe wait it out. Go get some dinner if you can in an area where you're not going to be impacted by floodwaters, and wait for that to recede a little bit before you do hit the roadways, and maybe before it's less busy. So just keep that in mind today. We've got this heavy rainfall. It's really going to be causing some issues. This is also where we've seen school closures. Schools are letting out early today because of the inclement weather. So we're not just snow days around here, we're also getting the rain days because of the heavy, heavy rainfall and the flood chances. And I mentioned how we have that severe weather happening across the southeast. We have as much as an enhanced risk for severe storms. And what that really is highlighting is the tornado risk in this area. Let me pull that up real quick. Especially in this dashed line area, those of you just south of Raleigh to the Outer Banks, Wilmington, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and down to Charleston, just north of Savannah too, could see some significant tornado probabilities in this area because we've got plenty of instability happening. What you want to pay attention to as well, As this storm system does move east, you want to pay attention to the timing of it. We have, we're past the solstice, so we are getting more sunlight every single day, but the sunset's still pretty early. So we want to pay attention to when dark comes and the sunset has already come and gone. We have that extra threat of nocturnal tornadoes and nocturnal thunderstorms. It means you can't see them, especially tornadoes. That can be very dangerous. If you can't see in the distance, you haven't gotten your warning. Also, make sure you have at least 3 ways to receive a weather warning on your device, on your computer. If you have a NOAA weather radio, perfect. Have that volume up. Make sure you do have your notifications turned on for those alerts, because after dark, you can't see it. So it's harder to see. So that's going to be a significant threat later this afternoon. So pay close attention to this area here. And even those that are in the marginal risk, this 2% risk up here from Southern Virginia all the way down to Miami and the Keys here in Florida, you still have a tornado risk. So while it's more isolated, it's still a risk for tornadoes because that instability is there. Pay close attention. I'm going to double check for any questions before we move on. Perfect. Alrighty. So let's talk about the snow. We are going to go over how much snow we are expecting for these areas across the Midwest into the upper Great Lakes here. So we're going to see as much as 6 to 12 inches in these spots that are stretching from northern Missouri all the way up into northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin as well. So expect 6 to 12 inches of snow across this area. And for those of you who have seen the temperatures that are going to be coming later this week, you're going to notice a cool down. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like. Because this is going to be the coldest temperatures so far this winter are coming this week. And these areas are really going to want to bundle up as we see these temperatures come down. So right now, what we're looking at, I will explain exactly what we're looking at here. Let me make this shorter so you can see it better. There we go. So what this is here, you see it's like a U shape. And actually what we have here is an omega block almost. It's a U shape here. This is a low pressure trough where we have these wind barbs that are showing where the wind's coming from. So the winds are moving from the northwest southward, or just straight north southward. This is where we're getting all of those cold temperatures moving here across this area in the plains. You'll notice that there are wind chill advisories in the Dakotas, in North Dakota, and then eastern Montana there. We've already got some wind chill advisories, as well as, in addition to that, we see all these warm temperatures where this severe weather is being supported. We have warm temperatures in southerly flow moving up from the Gulf straight into the eastern U.S. That's what's supporting, at least at the higher levels of this atmosphere, it is supporting the heavy rainfall and the severe weather across that area. So what does this mean? This low pressure trough is going to continue its way east. And what that means is the winds that are coming out of the northwest bring down Arctic, Canadian and Arctic temperatures. It's got the cold air mass that's going to be coming southward. So we're going to see the coldest temperatures so far for this season come down later this week. Alrighty. And here we are. Let me just pull up what this looks like here across eastern Montana, where we are seeing let's bring it up, the wind chill advisory. So let's take a look at what those wind chills could look like here just as this air just start pouring in. Wind chills as low as 35 below zero in Montana. Obviously, Montana is more likely to have that kind of wind chill. However, those of you that are there, bundle up. 35 below zero, oh my goodness. That is something you really want to pay attention to. Bring in any plants that are maybe outdoors, but animals especially. Make sure they're nice and warm, or if they can be brought indoors, bring them in, because 35 below zero that can be deadly. So we really want to pay close attention to that as it does come in. Let me double check something really quick. All right, so let's go back to what the weather radar looks like and what we can expect throughout the rest of the day today. Pull up the weather radar. This is available right on your Weather and Radar app, by the way. You can pull it up anytime you need it, and you can see the next 4 days for your forecast as these storms move through and then for the rest of the year. So, what this is going to look like throughout the rest of the day, the storm's going to continue eastward. We've got the snowfall that is going to mix down into the Missouri area. That's why we saw those winter weather advisories. We've also got the squall line of storms, trucking eastward as well, and then that heavy rain continuing across much of the eastern U.S. into the Ohio Valley, lower Great Lakes, mid-Atlantic, and getting into the northeast here as well. Let's take a look at what it looks like throughout the rest of the day today. So you see these temperatures are rising. Washington, D.C., you're in the upper 40s right now. You're going to be rising throughout the rest of the afternoon, where we're reaching our high temperature in the evening due to that warm surge coming up from the south. And let's see this as this continues. Heavy rain continues across the entirety of the eastern seaboard almost as this front does move through, and snow continues across this area too. When you're looking at the snowfall or even the rainfall, the lighter the colors, the lighter the precipitation, the darker the colors, the heavier the precipitation. So whether you're in this heavy snow area with the dark pink or the heavy rain area with the dark blue, pay close attention to that, especially if you're hopping on the roads. This is 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you're hopping on the roadways, you'll know that you're going to have some heavier rain rates in this area. Visibility is lower, even heavier snow rates. Visibility is lower. It's harder to drive in, and it's more probable that flash flooding could happen in that area too, especially because we've been seeing rain and snow all day. So pay close attention to that if you're going to be out and about this evening. The colder, higher elevation areas are going to start receiving snow and a wintry mix here across the northeast too as we work our way into the evening hours. And when does this thing finally pull out, right? This is a large storm system, and it's just kind of been sticking around for this last several days. So let's see when it finally comes out of the U.S. But that also means we got these cold temperatures. You can see Wichita, 16 degrees. This is 1 a.m. Central Time tonight. So you got those colder temperatures moving in behind this thing. So do you want it out? Do you not want it out? It just depends. But winter is here, so we're just going to have to deal, right? So this storm is going to continue on and moving through early tomorrow morning. Those of you in Pittsburgh, Columbus, Detroit, across the Ohio Valley, and even into the Appalachians here. Those of you doing your commutes tomorrow, this is 7 a.m. Eastern time. Pay close attention to the weather radar for that snowfall in that area, because this could cause some slowdowns in your area, especially if you got that heavier snow rates happening too. So pay close attention, give yourself more time if you can. And that's really going to be moving throughout the rest of the morning. Luckily, we do slow down as far as, we get sunshine back here across the south and into the mid-Atlantic even. So some scattered cloud cover, but nothing like it is today. So by tomorrow, things will start slowing down. However, we are getting into the colder temperatures behind the storm system. So pay close attention for that. Alrighty. Whew. I said this is a big storm, guys. And boy, is it. Okay. If there are no other questions concerning this storm system right now, let me direct you to what we are showing on our app so you can get all the latest information real quick. As it transitions. All right, perfect. Perfect. So we've got our task force active. You can go to the live updates in this article right here, where you're going to be seeing all the information, all of the resources that you need for this storm system. So we've got all of us are on deck, all your favorite weather radar meteorologists, all of us are here and on deck. We've got the live forecast if you need to rewatch it or send the link off to somebody else that you know is being impacted by this storm. The severe weather forecast, the winter weather forecast analysis, everything in Spanish if you need it. And send that to any friends and family too that you know that need it, because we have all of our updates that we have in English, we have in Spanish as well for these storm systems. So be sure to send them that as well. Our live blog covering the latest updates, any stream forecast that we're doing like this one is on there as well as taking a look at what the weather radar looks like. If you need a quick view of what the weather radar looks like, that is your best friend right here in this link. And then you make sure you have your weather and radar app alerts switched on, have at least 3 ways to receive those weather warnings as well, so you can get all the latest information and know exactly what's going on. And we're keeping you up to date on social media as well. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all there. So we are everywhere. We are here to help, and we are all hands on deck for this storm system as it continues moving through the eastern U.S. Alrighty. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, stay warm, and stay dry if you can. Have a great Tuesday.